Hey YouTube, it's Zoe or Read by Zoe, and today I'm going to do my February reading wrap-up and March TBR. I read 7 books in February, but 2 of them were picture books that I had to read for one of my classes, so really I read like 5 books, and let me share them all with you. The first book that I read in February was The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. I had to read this for my Golden Age of Children's Literature class, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I really liked the story. I liked how fantastical it was and how it was kind of like a fairy tale. Obviously there is a princess and some goblins and there's a kingdom and all of that. I just did not like the writing style. His writing just really got on my nerves. He would purposely not describe things. He would talk about not describing things. He said in one of the instances he was describing this girl's room and he said there were so many toys, so many that I couldn't explain them all to you. It would take this entire book to explain every single toy to you, and he just went on and on about not describing them, and I don't like that. The next book that I read was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Obviously this was a reread, and obviously it was 5 out of 5 stars. I can read this book like every day for the rest of my life, and I will still find something else great about it. Her writing, it's fantastic. The 2 picture books I had to read for my children's literature class were Little Black Sambo and The Story of Little Babaji, both by Helen Bannerman. They are the exact same story, the exact same text. Just one of them, this one, is more politically correct. They changed the names to be more Indian because this is supposed to be set in India, and they also changed the illustrations in here. And this one is just super duper racist, and I didn't even get the one with the original illustrations. These are already pretty racist, but the original illustrations were very, very racist. I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars because I could not feel good about giving it a higher rating, and then I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars because it's the same exact story, but I did like the illustrations more. The next book that I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and if you saw my Epic Reads book tour vlog, you would have seen that my copy is signed to Zoe, and she has a really nice signature. It's really pretty. Mine just looks like my name in cursive. It's not that pretty. In this book, there are 2 different types of people. There are the Silvers and the Reds. The Silvers have silver blood, and with that blood comes superpower type abilities. They can be telekinetic, they can control minds, things like that. They also believe that they were born into power, so they are the leaders of the land, and they just do what they want to do because they are Silvers. Then there are the Reds. They are the people like us. They have red blood and they have no superpowers. They're also forced to be the slaves, the servants, and the soldiers to the Silvers, who believe that they were born above the Reds, so they're not having too great of a life. The main character, Mare, she is a Red. She was born into a Red family and lives in a community full of Reds, but then things happen and she ends up in the Silver's palace type thing, and she realizes that she has a superpower, even though she is a Red, so everything is just mayhem, and that's kind of a spoiler, but not really, because there are way more twists and turns in this book, and I did not just ruin the whole book for you guys. I really enjoyed this book. I love books with superpowers and magic, and that is what this is all about. I also really enjoyed reading about the Silvers. They were really interesting, and I loved their political system. I just thought it was so cool to read about, and they're all kind of terrible people, but it's just, they're so terrible that you want to read about them. The only problem that I had with this book, though, was that it was kind of easy at times to guess what was going to happen next. There were a lot of twists and turns, but I foresaw them before they happened, and also it was kind of similar to a couple of other dystopian fantasy books that I've read before, so it wasn't that different, but I really expect great things to happen later on in the series. The next book I read was Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. It was a modern fairy tale, and I loved it so much more than the movie even. I loved the movie, but this was just so different, and it was really violent, but it was fun to read. I don't know. It was just I was in the mood for this book, and I loved it. And the last book I read in February was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, and I actually listened to an audiobook version of this book, and I usually don't like audiobooks, but I loved the narrator in this one. I used to hate the narrator of the Harry Potter books, but there was just something about reading it this past time, and it worked. And now onto my March TBR. I have actually read a couple of books already this month. I know that I'm kind of filming this a little bit late, but the first book that I have read in March already is The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I am not going to tell you my rating of this book because I'm going to tell you it in the next wrap-up, but I have read it and I didn't really like it. And the next book that is on my March TBR but I've already read is Shopaholic and Sister by Sophie Kinsella, and the next book that I want to finish is Shopaholic and Baby by Sophie Kinsella, the next book in the Shopaholic series. I don't know why I love these books so much, but I just can't get enough of her writing. I laughed the entire time. And the last book on my March TBR is Fairest by Marissa Meyer. This is 3.5 in the Lunar Chronicle series, and this is a story of Lavanna, which I'm really interested to read. I feel like she's a complicated creature that I'm going to learn about in this book. It's only 222 pages though, which is kind of sad because I love this series, but there is also, in this book, there are the first 3 chapters of Winter, so I'm excited for that. So that was my February wrap-up and March TBR. I hope you all enjoyed. Please leave below what you read in February and what you are planning on reading in March. Also, if you've read the books that I just read or that I'm planning on reading, please tell me and tell me what you thought about the books, and I will talk to you all later. Thank you for watching. Bye!